Next weekend, just a week from now, the moon, she will be full. The full moon of Kislev, midwinter. On this full moon of Kislev, 10 years ago, my father died. It's been a decade. Time doesn't fly. Time doesn't lie. Time happens. I'm wearing his watch. And so I will be in Israel next weekend with my family to mark this decade in the middle of this horror that we're living through. And what I want to share with you tonight is something from my father's legacy, but it's a story about how we honor our parents' legacies by sometimes taking them along and sometimes thanking them and leaving them behind. That's what we do with legacy, I think. You tell me what you think. Some of you here knew my father, Ezra, his grandson, and some of our community. Some of you may have seen him in the Sabbath Queen movie. And I know a bunch of you have seen some of you today. It has been extended at IFC for another week, just saying. So you've still got a chance. My father, Naftali, of blessed memory, was born in 1926 in Poland and led a pretty decent, happy life until the war began in 1939. And I will share with you a story that he learned from his father and passed over to us, but a story that then had a weird twist. And it has to do with this question: how much home does a person need? How much home does a person need? This question was asked by Jean Emery. That was the new name of Hans Mayer, who was an Austrian Jew from his father's side and Catholic from his mother's side, who ended up in Buchenwald and Auschwitz for being a resistance fighter and a Jew, according to the Nazi laws, and survived. He may have been in Buchenwald at the same time as my father. I doubt they met. And after the war, came on to become a theologian and a philosopher and wrote a really important set of books that is asking about exile and about refuge and about home. And some of his questions echo today as the notion of echo and exile and refuge, and how much home does one need? And when is too much? And what is it not enough? Questions about land and homeland and holy land, and what happens when people do such awful, vicious things to one another. The story that is told in every synagogue this Shabbat, and Ben already walked us into this fable, into this legend. And we're here with a group of Generate, the elders in our community. We've been delving into the story this week. There's a story that happened or not about a young man who runs away from home because he has to. And on his first night away from home, before he knows that he will become an ancestor, our ancestor, Jacob, Jack. Any Jacks in the house? I know at least one. He has a dream. He puts a stone behind his head or around his, and in the dream he sees the divine. And he sees some kind of a stairway to heaven with creatures going up and down. And in the dream, the voice of the divine says to him, "Hey, babe, it's going to be okay. I know you're terrified right now and you're fleeing your brother who might kill you for a decent reason because you are squabbling around the birthright. Who will inherit daddy's land and get his blessing? It is either or. One of you is going to get the blessing, one of you is the heir, and one of you is the spare. And somehow you got it. Let me write now the details. And now he wants to kill you and you're running away from home, from your homeland, to be an exile. Because it's either or. So listen, babe, it's going to be okay. One day you will come home. This land will be your land. And you will be safe. And just like here in your dream you are protected, so will all your children be. And Jacob wakes up and says, oh my God, Like literally, oh my God, Yesh Elohim. I had no idea. So major dream. And so it makes it into the good book, and it becomes the lineage of legacy of this is why the Holy Land is ours, the kids of Jacob, not Esau, his brother. That's the deed. That's a story for the Holy Land. Does that sound like good news to you? Yes, but also complicated, because it's not the only story about Holy Land on that particular parcel. So I want to do something with that story, with your permission tonight, and expand its meaning so that the land is land of love without losing the sense of safety, but expanding its capacity. And this is where my father comes in. So when my father was in Buchenwald, a 17-year-old prisoner for being a Jew, and if you've seen the movie, you've seen this scene. My father didn't know that he was going to make it. He had a 7-year-old brother with him. The father was already dead. They didn't know that their mother was too. And what my grandfather told my father and what my father told his little brother was, if any of us makes it out alive, I don't know if it's possible, but if you make it out alive, there is a place, there is a home, and say it with me, Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. That's our home, and you will go there and be safe. Say it after me, he says to the 7-year-old kid who remembered. And they survived, both of them. My father was a hero, really unbelievable. See the movie, read his book, I'll tell you later. But they made it out. And on the first boat out of Europe in 1945, they came through Palestine, the Holy Land, and helped create the state that one day there will have families in, a huge family. I have so many cousins, I can't even count them. And siblings and nephews and nieces. Those two embers from the fire built a tribe again. Continue the rabbinic legacy, which I'm trying to queer up a little bit. But they made it. That's the story. Then there's another version. About a decade ago or so, I was with friends of mine, and I heard my friend Joey Soloway, who did a talk back with us earlier this week with Sandy Dubowski and me, and Joey said, I heard the story from Amichai. It goes like this. Amichai's father and grandfather were in Auschwitz, and they said to the little kid, if you ever make it out of here, we want you to know one thing. God is love. Great. It's a beautiful story. I said to Joey, but where the hell, what? That's not my father's story. And Joey said, what are you talking about? I heard you tell the story. You said that your grandfather said to your father, only thing that matters is love. God is love. I'm like, Joey, he said you got to go to Israel. Joey said, no, God is love. And I'm like, Joey, I'm pretty sure you were stoned, which is, that's fine, that's cool, it's legal. But I'm like, and for a long time I had a grudge about it. I was like, Joey, my father's memory, for goodness sakes. He wouldn't have said God is love, believe me. I mean, he wouldn't have not have said, but no. But whatever it was, like, eye rolling. And then Joey had it in an email to our whole listserv, and I was like, I'm not even going to respond. But this week, when Joey came to be with us at the talkback, and some of you were there, Rotem and Osama were there, and El was there, and other friends, and Joey was really lovely, and really we talked about it. I thought, actually, who am I to refute Joey's version? The hell do I know? That's a perfectly valid version. It may not have been what happened, but I don't think that thing with Jacob happened either. These are stories. We inherited them. This one is a little more recent, and I am not disrespecting my father's memory, his zeal for safety. Yes, the Zionist vision with which he rebuilt his life, that all these years later, I and many of us are questioning. Because if the story is that there is a place that's good for us and safe for us, and there's a story that says that God is love, somewhere those two stories tell a new story. And I go back to the story that Jacob woke up with, the dream that told him, Jacob, this land is your land. It's going to be your land. And I know most commentators and interpreters over the generations said he means the land of Israel. The spot where he fell asleep, according to some traditions, is the Temple Mount. It makes no sense in the story, but never mind. It's mythology. This is the Holy Land, and therefore it is our land. But what if that's not what the story says at all? What if Jacob woke up and the voice of the divine said to him, Jacob, this land is your land, all of it. The earth is yours because you are hers. It doesn't mean that this territory is yours at the expense of somebody else's. It means you are Ben Adama. You are son of the earth. And you belong to the earth as she belongs to you. And it's not about you or Esau or Isaac or Ishmael. And it's not about Palestine or Israel. And it's not about red or blue. Those binary divisions that we have grown up to believe are God's given truth are our inheritance, and we inherited them. I from my father, and maybe you from yours, for many generations of truth. And I don't want to refute that truth. I just want to say there's another option. Just like Joey's story. God might be just love. And so the Holy Land is Holy Land of love. The Holy Love Land, where it isn't about mine or yours, because you see what is getting us. The rivers of blood that have not yet dried, and the pain and the suffering. What if it is the land of love? And we take the story we inherited and pick up where it left off, and reinterpret Jacob's dream, and reinterpret other narratives and create a new narrative that reimagines land of all. I go back to Jean Emery's question, how much home does a person need? Jacob had a rock under his head. That's all. But he belonged to the earth. So I honor my father's memory tonight. I'm not sure he would have loved this, but I think he would have appreciated that his memory is alive, that his children are wrestling. That is the meaning of Yisrael, to wrestle. That we're wrestling, that we're not giving up on the vision of continuity and love. That we're not giving up on the vision of building a home that is grounded in justice and not caving in to the cruelty and the viciousness and the fear-based trauma that is killing us and killing our sisters and our brothers. And it can't continue this way. We need a new story. We need to say thank you to the ancestry that brought us here. We need to say thank you to the narratives that brought us here and say, you know what? I'm going to let you rest a little bit and try another way. And you know why I know that's how we do things? Because our very first ancestor, Avraham, Ibrahim, Big Daddy himself, you know what's the first thing he did? Lech Lecha. He leaves behind his father's house and mother's legacy and paves the way into a new reality, leaving behind some of the ancestral to become the first Hebrew, the first Ivri, the first boundary crosser, who's the father of our legacy. The children of Ibrahim are Ismail and Yitzchak. They are in Gaza and in Jerusalem. They're in Beirut, and they're in Syria, and they're in the United States and South America, and they're in Russia, and they're everywhere, because Ibrahim is just a vision of the father whose memory we honor, but some of his legacy, for the sake of continuity, we are allowed to leave behind. We need a new narrative, new dreams. Jacob woke up from the dream and imagined a new reality. It's on us to wake up. And I might be preaching to the choir, but that's okay. Choirs need to sing a little too. So if you're watching us and here with us, spread it out like light into the darkness of these winter nights, into the season of these holy days, that they are shared by all, and so should be the land. It will. We have to keep on dreaming. The work that Rotem is doing with Osama, the work that Maoz and Aziz, who are with us on Yom Kippur, and will be with us one night online for Hanukkah. The work that so many of us are doing. This week we're standing together, and we're inviting so many different ways of not giving up on the dream, the new dream, with respect to our ancestors, with our eyes on our descendants. We'll be better ancestors. Thank you, Jacob, Isaac, Abraham. Thank you to my father, Naphtali, to all our parents. My father left one more legacy, and with this I'll end, because soon we're going to say Kaddish and honor all the mourners and all the mourning and the sorrow in our hearts. And as many of you know, when my father passed, I was in Jerusalem, and I wanted to say Kaddish with you, my brand new young Lab Shul community, and so I did it on a 1-800-something free conference call. Remember that? It wasn't even Skype. And like so many of you came, and then we did it again the following week, and then the following week, and then the virtual Kaddish has been going on every Thursday at noon for 10 years since. We've all been co-leading it and showing up when our own loved ones died. We'll be doing it again this Thursday. I'm leading this one. And so my father's legacy is continuity. And for his sake, I want to say we got to also think future and imagine a new dream. Yes, there is a place called Israel where he ended up. And I'll take Joey's story. All it is love. Thank you, Joey. You might be watching. How much home does a person need? As much as we are here. Take a breath with me. Shabbat Shalom. Sabbath Queen is in the house. Yeah? I'm feeling her.